All right, let's get started. So I think this stream is going to be a better one than the last one, as I spent a lot of time struggling with getting C++ libraries installed over the last day or so, but all that should be resolved. So now I'm back to the point where things are erroring in Godot, which means I can maybe debug that and figure things out. And that should hopefully then finish off the OpenCV work. I don't think I'll finish it off this morning, but I'll at least maybe solve the biggest problems. And then maybe, just maybe, finally, like have like a really well working thing going into next week. So let's take a look at where we're at. Let's go to Vim messages. OpenCV running in gdextension. I think it is, but until I resolve those errors, let's just make that the same goal. And then fix the CPP code, get Godot happy again with the extension. Let's go with debug gdextension errors in Godot. I'll call it crashing in Godot. So it's actually just crashing. Like, I'm not getting any errors. It just is doing its work. It gets some of my log statements, but not all of them, and then it just crashes. Let's delete that. So can we get a quality image from things? And if so, then start implementing cropping dewarp. I think I'm already at the limit here of like how much space this will go. Hold on. Yeah, I think this line here, if I go any wider than that, it won't show up properly on the stream. So, well, we'll start implementing. Let's just say what we're going to do. Implement cropping. And then if that works, if I can crop the image down to like a reasonable, just getting the text cropped. So that's that's an OpenCV problem, right? To detect where the text is in the image and then crop down to that plus like 10 pixels of padding all around it would be ideal. Then if I can do that reliably based on how the user's holding the book, then I can implement dewarp and deskew. Which would be, get it so that the text is flat and horizontal, right? It's not at an angle. And then also, like, is the page curved and the line on the page is kind of like a sine wave. Well, that's skew. So that's warp rather. And so you got to dewarp and deskew. And if you do that, and then you do binarization, which is making it black and white, then you end up with a very high quality image of text that Tesseract would have no problem OCRing, and Tesseracts will be 98% accurate on OCRing. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. Let's run that, start rotating our text. All right, and I spent some time working with Claude to help me with this, which was such a pain in the butt. Yeah, installing C++ libraries is never fun, and it was even harder this time. I think one thing I've realized is when you're running in debug mode, speaking of, let me start getting set up for that. So when you've got the VR headset plugged into the PC, and you are deploying your VR app to the VR headset, you'd think that, well, maybe I only need like the Android version of my C++ libraries for my GD extension, because like that's all that's going to run. That's what the headset is. It's an Android phone, so it just needs Android. Or you'd think, well, maybe it's not that. Maybe like it's secretly running on the gaming PC and just kind of streaming the results, and so therefore I just need the Windows C++ libraries. But in fact, you actually need both, and they both kind of need to be in sync. And in fact, I'm not even sure mine are. I do have the Android libraries here. Oh, and then I find out, yeah, Android actually needs like a bunch of extra, I think I have them here. Might be all these. It needs a bunch of extra libraries that Windows doesn't. And of course then the order matters. Like the OpenCV libraries have to be installed before some of the Tesseract ones, because things would randomly fail because of that. Anyway, I don't want to talk about it. It hurts my heart. It's such a pain. The whole point being, I think I've got all the libraries now, although things could be failing. In theory, the errors I'm getting right now where it's crashing, it might be crashing because maybe I'm missing some specific library, or, Clyde CV thread has to appear before HAL in this list, and if it doesn't, it'll just crash. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully I'm done with installing libraries. There might be some issues here in my C++ code that need resolving. Hopefully not. Hopefully, anyway, let's find out. Let's start running this thing. So let's get our screen sharing up for the VR headset. Start casting. Yes. Sorry, I had the VR headset on at the time. Cool. Let me check things out here. Hold on one second. Take a sip of water. And let me click over to there. Okay. We'll drag this over to there. And then I've got that ready to go. Okay. So I should be able to just cast, bring that up, bring that up. Let me shrink this down a bit. And I'll get a book queued up, ready to go for this. And when we're ready to go, we gotta send the permissions. So I'm optimistic that this is gonna start coming together today. And yeah, the real issue that I'm trying to solve right now is I'm not getting good images off of the headset. I've been getting, because it's video and I'm grabbing a still image from video. And if you ever do that, the image quality is pretty poor. So I've implemented some things in OpenCV that should hopefully, the main thing would be if it can find a keyframe. So basically grabbing multiple still images and then seeing if one of them is a keyframe. And if it is, use that image. And a keyframe image should have more data in it than one of those intermediary frames in a video. And therefore, in theory, maybe the keyframe image would be like the best quality you're going to get, basically. I could do some other enhancements from there with OpenCV, but I also then worry about performance, CPU, other challenges. So for the moment, hopefully I can just get any sort of better image I'll be happy with. But that also means not crashing things. So, oh, weird. Usually this little window is behind this one. Like this one goes first. It does the build, and then it switches to the export. That's different. I don't think I updated Godot. So, why is it slow? It's always slow the first time in the morning, I feel like. Maybe there's some sort of background update job that runs. That's probably it. As part of the build step, it probably goes and checks for some update from the internet. And, once per day, there's going to be an update. And so when that happens, this will be slow. But then every build after will be faster. Come on. And I did improve my log statement set. There I do have a little bit of code on the Godot side in GDScript that I haven't tested. But I should get slightly better logs now, and then I probably need to turn on debugging. But I'll get to that. I half suspect I'm hitting What is this down here? That probably doesn't matter. I have suspect I'm hitting some sort of wall with the CPU. I think I have like a memory issue maybe, which means I could just have a memory leak. Why is this happening? Okay. Yeesh. Okay, set the permissions. I have to put the headset on for 1 second every single time, and it's only because I'm using the controllers. If I can get this stuff working, that'll be the next thing, is to get rid of the controllers. Use hand tracking instead. Okay. And then Meta updated the UI now, so now you get this lovely flowy thing happening, whereas before it was just a black screen. So the app is initializing. I got my log statements here for that. Okay. So there's the book. And then let me trigger it. So we got an image. It says, well, I think it defaults to just using the first frame as a keyframe. And then look, okay, yeah, everything's kind of frozen, crashing. So if I do, let's grab our logs, dump the logs off the device. And this is crashing now, which means I'm probably gonna have to shut down. Well, it'll crash, it'll eventually give up. All right, if I do that and then let me do an uninstall. Maybe we can like recover the feed. Okay, good. Because sometimes when it crashes, I have to like shut down this window, then recast, then wait for the device to come up again. It's real annoying. So if I'm dealing with crashing issues, that'd be a pain. All right, let's go look at those quest logs. Quest install details. What is that? Should that be in the docs? Huh. Empty file. Get, well, hold on. Git status-s. What folder am I in? Oh, I'm at that direct. Okay. Quest install details. I guess that's maybe a file I started and I never added anything into it. That's fine. Quest log. All right. Let's drag this out. Or maybe I'll go full screen with it and then I can shrink it back down when I don't need it anymore. All right, so let's go look for an error. Error OpenCV. Oh, okay, error. Requested object not found. Could not open directory. Interesting. File C users dev package build trees. Why would that be? Why would it be looking in this path? It shouldn't be. Glob. Glob.cpp. Okay, this is probably the issue. Those are the only errors I see. If I go look at my sconstruct file, I do have some VC package stuff here, but I ripped this out, so it shouldn't be doing any of that. VC. Yeah, it's all right here. Yeah. So it's not like I'm baking in any paths to that, and I'm not telling it where that is. I'm not adding it to the path, am I? I'm pretty sure it's not doing this because out of an abundance of caution, let me rebuild Android and rebuild Windows just in case I made a code change. And just in case maybe it's using an older version of one of these where maybe I was referencing paths on the local file system for files. It should be finding everything like local to itself. Okay, this smells of a build issue. Hopefully I don't spend the whole morning in build problems again. If so, I apologize to whoever is bored by such things, which includes me. I apologize to myself. There's my Windows build. The Android build found no changes, so the Android file was already up to date for my library. Yep, there is a difference here for Windows, and that could cause a problem. Again, I think I need both of them in sync. So let's exit out of that, and let's try it again. And it should be fast at this time. And we care about the permissions. There's the permissions. I'll drag that aside a little bit. I'd be very happy if I end the week with this working, because this has really been a pain. Like, if I can get I already know that if I have a quality image, I already know all the OpenCV steps that I need to do that would pre-process that image to the point where Tesseract will love the image and do great OCR on it. All in theory I need is just good quality images now. So this is somewhat the last piece of the puzzle, at least for this problem. And then that opens me up for a whole new world of new problems that I need to address. Oops, did I not do... It's probably too late to do the permissions. Okay. I didn't do the permissions, so if I quit and launch it again, now I should get video feed. There we are. Set up our book. There's our crash. Let's capture those logs. That should only take a second. I mean, because it'll sit there forever. It doesn't need to though, because it's basically tailing the logs forever, waiting for new logs to come in, and the new logs won't come in. All right. Why is this being like that? Okay. Oh. So we do get a different error. Well, slightly. Linear independent vectors. I think this is just it's a Godot XR error. I don't think this is anything I care about. And then error. I wish it was case insensitive or searching. Okay, so we're back to this. So let me go ask an AI. I'll phone a friend. Let's do a new chat. I have a GD extension in Godot 4.5 that calls OpenCV C++ code. I'll say it calls Tesseract and now an OpenCV code. Fine. The Windows and Android scones builds work fine. Previously, the Tesseract functionality was working as expected. I recently added OpenCV, and now the app crashes when calling that new code. Below is an error. It references the local file system. Now, I'll let the AI tell me what it thinks of it. Yeah, right. It's trying to read from the APK's lib directory, but files don't work like regular file systems, right? Here are most likely the causes. Check OpenCV initialization code. Make sure you're not inadvertently passing a file path that OpenCV interprets as a directory in search. Common culprit. Okay. Yeah. That's true. So, all right, it did make mentions to glob. There's no glob here. All right, let me do a quick audit of the code. All right, so we have some bind methods, properties being added, initializing some things, some getters, setters type stuff, converting. I mean, this is getting an image object. Mostly nothing I care about. Just call it, just, you know, it's effectively a lightweight wrapper just to call some OpenCV functions for the most part. I could throw just this file and see if it sees anything. Of course, it is a long file. Before I waste my time just asking the AI over and over again what it thinks, because that's not going to bear fruit. Experience has taught me that the AI will struggle with that. What's the last log that I've got? So enhancer setup. So that's this ready function. I don't have a log here. I don't believe that though. So let's go look at wait, what? I didn't pull files. That's a little weird. Yeah. Huh. How did this log statement even get in there? Literally the last thing I did was... Strange. me go back to that. I don't think I need double quotes for this, but setting up enhancer. Okay, so it didn't like this, the sentence, searching for a sentence, because if I did enhancer setup complete, it says it can't find it even though it's right there. All right, so instead I'll just look for Godot, because I know all my log statements are Godot. So I got a Godot error there. There we go. Have image of size. Starting high qual. So, okay. So I guess we already started having issues and it couldn't send the logs back to Godot. Okay. So instead, let's do this. Ooh. Okay. Clear. Cat. Quest logs, pipe, grep, Godot. This will get us just the, it'll cat out the file, and then it'll just go and find the lines that contain the word Godot and print them here. Sweet. So, initialize setup succeeded. Permission util. That's weird. Hold on 1 second. Unable to identify permission OpenXR. Well, that's weird. I wonder... So Godot is asking for a new permission, I think. So either this is a bug with Godot, Godot's asking for a permission that doesn't exist, or yeah, I mean, this is literally right after the initialize. Well, it's right around this happening as well. Yeah, or Meta changed their API and Godot hasn't caught up yet. It doesn't seem to matter though. I mean, XR was working until, I'm gonna pretend that's not a thing for now. Okay, so then there's this whole stack trace. I'm gonna ignore that. And then what do we have here? Setting up debug panel. This is the last line of log I got in the Godot editor. And then we have this error, which I'm gonna ignore. We have an image, starting high quality capture. And then we have creating enhanced image from, that's, Control C doesn't work here. Control insert. Creating enhanced image from, okay, so we're gonna enhance the image. Let's skip this step. Let's assume for a second. Again, I might not even need it. I have a bunch of steps here. Most of this code was written by Claude. I don't even know if it works. There's a good chance it doesn't. And I may not even need the steps. If I can get a good keyframe image, then maybe I don't even need to do any enhancing. So, here we go. Capture high quality image. Final image. Create enhanced image. Average frames of the frame buffer. So we have current frame. We grab an image. Add framed buffer. But we don't keep track of anything else, right? We have our integers, floats, booleans, camera enhancer. Where is that coming from? Oh, we just declare it here. So we don't even, do we have a helper function telling us the buffer size? Where's our header? So our public functions include set buffer size, get buffer size. What's buffer size going to give us? Max buffer size. That's not what I want. Set keyframe threshold, get keyframe, denoise, sharpen, is keyframe, add framed buffer. All right. It is funny that I love how it's like this is keyframe. This cracks me up that the AI is doing this, because it's basically saying we do a null check, we do a conversion failure check. So it's like, if this is the first frame, it's always considered a keyframe. So then why even, if it's the first frame, right? Like if we didn't clear. So, okay, for now. All right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to pull you out to here. I think it's null, right? Is that what we do? Initialize to null. I think so, right? What else have I done? I can't even remember. Fine, whatever. We'll initialize it to null. And then I can do current frame, we'll capture. And then for now, I'm just going to we'll do oh, it's current frame. Why was I going with a captured frame? Fine. Little hacky, temporary code. Now let's see if this crashes things. Or if we get out of here. Also, high quality capture ready. That's a signal, which we emit. Right, on high quality ready, which is just going to then write it right into the file system. In here, so then do we even call any of this other stuff? So we call capture high quality image. All we're doing here is we clear the buffer, which again is hilarious, because if the buffer's cleared, it means the first one's. This logic is stupid. I love coding with AIs. It's so much fun. Like how would we ever get an extra frame? I don't currently see that in the code they wrote. Because if you clear the buffer, now the buffer size is of 1. And then when we call check keyframe, it's always going to return true, which means we're immediately going to emit. We'll add to the buffer by frames captured. Right, we did have a counter there. That's fine. I may just, I'm probably going to get this code anyway, so. And then we wait. We wait here. Yeah, fine, whatever. I'm not going to pre-optimize this. Okay, so we have these functions available, but we didn't implement them. So the AI gave them to us. So there's a bunch of code here that we might not need. All right, that's fine. Let's just run it. See if if we skip the enhancing step, does that avoid the crash? The next thing would be let's not even add it to the buffer. But see, this is dumb because this is not going to work. Because I can already tell you, if it assumes the first frame is a keyframe, I already know if I grab a random frame, the odds of it being a keyframe are quite low. So I already know this code doesn't work. Which means I need to get it to work. I have to fix this issue. That's really what it means. But maybe I can at least narrow down if there's a specific method where the issue is more prominent. Set permissions. Click the button. Set up our book. Why does it still say reading room there? That was weird. And then get our hand, hit the button. Writing file. So it wrote a file. There's an extra slash in there. That's fine. Let us grab the logs. Kill that. Let's actually get our files off the system. Which is, where's that command? Here we go. It was that phantom command that we saw earlier. Now I got the files, I got the logs, I can... And oh, by the way, things didn't crash. Yay. Okay, let's uninstall the app. And then if I go to quest log, go to error. All right, so we still got this OpenCV error. So it actually, okay. Let's make sure there's nothing else, and then error. There's still this error for whatever reason. And if we're up here, okay, I think that was a one-off fluke error then. So we still have that error. It's after this log statement, immediately after. I can't do Control C, gotta remember that. So it's right after that log statement. Interesting. So it's probably inside is keyframe. Because the next log, so we get that error. So we have keyframe detected at frame. Again with the Control C, Control Insert. Yeah, okay, so it is keyframe. That's our... All right, I don't necessarily need to clean this up, but I might as well. Well, I kind of need to. Well, let me look at the code myself for a second. What's Godot image to map? 223 is where we're, or 218 is where we want to stay at. So that's a reference to an image. What does capture frame do again? I get the image texture. So it's an image object. And we're passing that in. And then it is saying requested object was not found. Couldn't open the directory. Core source. Interesting. Okay, so if I'm at, 218. Okay. Previous frame empty. Calculate histogram. Okay. So what I can do is I can grab this code and basically tell it. Let's do that. And then where is, here we go. Make sure you're not inadvertently passing a file path. So in my sconstruct file, all included libraries are copied to local /bin/windows and /bin/android. No external paths are used to find libraries. But that is kind of the log statement we're getting, isn't it? That's kind of weird. Check initialization code. Debug the specific call. All right, well, that's fine. I narrowed it down to a specific method call where I am passing in an image in memory file from gdescript. Here is the relevant code. So we'll paste that, and then one other thing I need So I grabbed those two. And in fact, I'm just going to grab this because I know it's short-circuiting. I know that there's no previous frame, so it's just returning early. I don't want to distract the AI with this extra code and then have it spit out, you know, eat up more of the session than I need to. It's really annoying when you're messaging back and forth with an AI for 30 minutes and then all of a sudden it says, oh, the message conversation's too long. You need to start a new conversation. And then you're starting over from scratch. Where we are. Godot image to mat function, which you're calling but haven't what are you talking about? It's right there. Oh, that's mat to Godot. Okay, fine. Did I not? Huh, wait a minute. Godot image to mat. Did I copy the wrong thing? Mat to Godot image. Ah, okay, fine. Darn it. However, based on the error message mentioning the fact that this works on Windows but fails on Android, is how OpenCV handles image data on Android. Here's a safe implementation. Okay, well. Yes, yes, yes. Add comprehensive error checking. Yep. Ah, interesting. So that does an extra step here. Get data. If we don't have image size, then we do our... What is gdprint? Gdprint is not a thing. Wait a minute. Is it getting this code from me? From my past history conversations with it? Because gdprint is something I implemented over here, right? I did have a gdlog. Okay. Someone else on the internet implemented something similar to this. And that's where the AI is stealing the code from. Because, you know, as AIs do. Oof. Spicy. Okay. Let me bring that over then. And that is just something I put below bind methods. Yeah. Yeah, and that's always good to have a nice little ability to log back out. Yeah, GD log. So this then does what? Okay, so it does more error checking, then it gets the width and height. Then channels. Okay, figures out the channel. And then for mat, it does width, height, and then it does, if channel's 4, then we use 8UC4, otherwise 8UC3. Okay, so it's just a slightly more robust version of this up here. But who knows? Maybe that's the case. Maybe the issue is that I've got a different type. And then what is it doing after that? So it does the convert. What is that? Copies the data to a data pointer size. Matt, what? That can't be a thing. Let me just throw it at it. Here's a safer version. Image codecs on the Android side. OpenCV image codecs, yeah. I assumed I had that. Test step by step. Yeah, sure. I wouldn't say that I know the Windows version works. Technically, it's both, as I'm doing remote debugging from Godot. Here is the missing function. Yeah, let's just see what it says. I may go with its versions of things. The problem is in your function. You're creating that directly references, I'm not doing this, you did this. But then the data variable goes out of scope when the function returns, even though you're calling clone. The issue is that CVT color might be trying to access the original mat data after data has been destroyed. Here's the corrected version. All right, so the better version's at top. So he's saying error check format, pack byte array, get width height. Then there's this height. But then he does his void pointer before. And then immediately do a mem copy. Interesting. All right, let me delete this. Because those are both Godot image mat, right? And I won't do it now, but I'm going to use this as an opportunity to learn some of the C++. So mat is just OpenCV mat. I don't really know what that is. So I'm going to have to learn that. And then memcopy, I'm curious how this works. So it's saying mat.data. So he's creating a mat with the height and width of our image data. And then saying mat.data, and then we have the pointer to our data and our data size. And then we do CVT color on that. and then we return it. All right. Let's rebuild and see how this does. By the way, I did get the files off, right? So where's our files look like? Do we have for today? Today is the, what's today's date? The 13th. What did it pull off the device? So we just have our, we do have our high quality. Which should be like the exact same image. Looks the same to me. Which is what it should be. Multiple definitions of gdlog. Darn. I thought I could do that, but I guess not. And then if we do OpenCV.h, I don't have it here. I don't know if you need it to have it in the .h file. I wonder if I could pull that in from local. Fine, let's just call this one. Let's call this one GD logger. What? Oh, because I got the logs gone. Fine. You know what? It's fine. I'll figure out logging at a later time. Here we are, and then Android. Okay, so that, I guess, makes sense when you have like pointer errors like that. 'Cause something, I guess, is cleared, but it's still trying to reference it. Then you'll get like, I guess you'll get like weird errors like that, where it's like the next thing it's looking for. But it is kind of odd, though, that it even knows about that file path, because I copied everything over. It shouldn't know anything about VC package anymore. Although I guess maybe when it builds VC package, yeah, I don't know, has some sort of remnant in there. All right, so I was hoping I was done with these issues and was moving on to quality images, but I guess, well, I don't know. I guess this is part of it, right? I knew I was going to have to fix some of that C++ code because you can't trust the AIs to write good code. We'll just keep working through it. I'm cautiously optimistic this one will succeed. I mean, I guess I didn't get an error, but like it didn't crash the system before. It was just an error. So it just it was a complaint, really. I mean, I got that error in the log, but that didn't really affect anything. What was crashing it was happening later. So there's no reason why this won't work. It's thinking. Okay, there we go. And then, well, that's fine. my hand? Okay, there's my hand. And we've saved the file. We'll pull the files off, not that it matters. Let's go grab a quest log. 1, 2, 3. Cancel that. And then we can uninstall. And then I can then go look at the file. Godot, why are you being like this? Okay, thank you. By the way, what else do we have here? Yeah, I feel like I've seen this error from time to time. No, I didn't ask you to open yourself. I just was trying to highlight it. Yeah, I'm just gonna assume it's an error I don't need to care about. So. Nah, see, still have that error. Requested but not found. I'll throw this at the AI. But I think I'm going to move on. Because I don't think it actually matters. At least not for the moment. It's more of a noisy thing than anything else. It's not causing a crash, so why do I care? Where are you? Alternative approach, even safer. How is this one different? Sorry, where's our function again? I losing the plot a little bit. Null check, format check. We get our data and our width. RGB mat. Okay. And then we have our data pointer size. Then we just convert. Huh. Fine, I'll go with that for now. I'm not going to retest this though. I'll move on to a whole new thing. Because I don't think any of this matters. I think this is all smoke and mirrors. So... where are we? Alright, I don't like this. I don't like this code. So... this is saying, so we pass it all those images. Let's just, I'll probably rip out this code. The whole is keyframe, I'm not even gonna care about that. Like, and the whole, like, first time, like, fine. Let's start there. We gotta start somewhere, right? If it's the first frame, it's always considered a keyframe. Return true. Assume it's not a keyframe. So then we kind of skip this logic and we're just going to return false. So that way the first time through, it's not going to be a keyframe. And then we'll go add another one to the buffer. Now this logic then, this is the logic that crashes things. So I guess I have to deal with this. Let's see here. Well, let's confirm. So let's bring this back. And then we'll do I can do a dot format here, right? Dot format. And then we'll do frames captured. Okay. Found. Wait, about to get keyframe after frames. I think it's been a while since I've done dot format, especially in like Python since f-strings came along, but I think that's the syntax. If history serves me, this will crash and then this log statement will show up in the ADB logs, but it won't show up here in Godot. But let's just see what happens. And if it does crash, I'll start a new conversation with Claude to focus on just the crash. See if we can figure out what that is. And yeah, maybe I can log. Yeah, actually, I probably won't even start with Claude. Let's start with my own brain power. And I'll probably just add some logging on the C++ side since I already have that all harnessed up, and see if I can at least narrow it down to exactly where it's happening. So then when I go to the AI, I can give it the line of code and be like, it's right here where the problem is. And then I would trust Claude at that point to pretty accurately tell me what's going on. It does just seem like if you just give them a blob of whatever, they'll be like, oh yeah, I know exactly what your problem is. It's over here. And it's nonsense. It's not important. All right, there's permissions. And then while that's doing its thing, let me get the logs running just for the heck of it. Maybe I'll get some slightly better logs that way. Okay. And then with the hand, trigger. Why is keyframe detected at 0? That's not true. All right, let's do that. And then let's just kill it. Error. Data for slice index 0 mapped layer 0 differs in size supplied than what is required for format. I don't think that's an issue. That's not an issue. Invalid type. Use array, dictionary, or object. Huh? Okay. Camera enhancer 83. Okay, doesn't like this log statement, but that's fine. Where are we? We can just do Godot string format. Format strings. okay, I think I was treating that wrong. I guess 0 here would get you a list, and we get the 0th element. Okay, that's different than what Python does. Yeah, I don't like % formatting. Never liked that, really. Okay, yes, yes, yes. I'm confused. Where are you? Oh yeah, how did I miss this? Huh. Okay. Oh, here we go. 0. Hi, name. I thought you could just do simpler. Yeah. Huh. Okay. Maybe I just do this. That should be it. I don't know. I'll leave this up. So that's kind of that's an error, but it's not really an error. All right, let me add log statements to the C++ code. And I don't want to figure out how to do this the right way. So for the moment, I'm just going to pull this over. And I will paste that. And it's going to complain about it. The fact that it's referenced in more than one spot. And we'll do, yeah, this utility function dot print. Yeah, I don't think this showed up in here, right? Oh, I can't do that. Creating temp, creating enhanced image from 1 frames. Okay, so I guess utility functions print. Oh, okay, so you can print. Interesting. I thought you couldn't do that. That's why I create a whole like Godot print thing. Oh no, I am using Godot's print function, right? I just wanted to have extra formatting around it. That's the thing. Okay. Real quick. Side topic question. How do I create a string in C++? Basically a line like this but I want it in a variable before I pass it to the function. You can do that? Oh, it's a string. Right. Okay. Fine. So then I can do that. All right. So then it's then, how was I calling this again? Right. Just call it and pass it. So then I'm just doing gd logger Oh, maybe I should be able to do that. I don't know. We'll find out. Let's just do a build of that and see what happens. Doc data. .gen. I don't know that. Haven't seen that before. Okay, so it's still going to crash. Maybe I'll get slightly better logs out of it. And then I'll probably just start a new thread with the AI and ask it a more targeted question about why is it crashing. But in theory, now I'm passing in multiple images. So that buffer should have multiple images in it. And then we, in theory, should be getting like the best one. And I should get an indication of, like, if nothing else, how many images do we need before we find a keyframe? This is gonna be annoying because it's not gonna do the permission thing, and then I'm gonna have to close it and reopen it. Yep. Darn it. Did things out of order. Okay, now it'll work. And now I can go grab the logs. There we go. We've crashed. Let's kill that. Then let's uninstall. And then if we go bin quest logs, error. Okay, again, Godot, go away. Still that slice error. I don't think that's relevant. Still this error. Still invalid use of dictionary. It still doesn't like that. But we get our own separate Creating enhanced image from 5 frames. So we have 5 frames. All right, this is fine. I'm gonna comment this out. I do want to solve for that, but I'm not gonna worry about that now because I know I am getting that far. So I'm getting that far. So we have 5 frames, and then what happens after that? And then we kind of just freeze, right? Does Godot know about that log statement? So interesting that, like, the second enhancer setup completes, we stop getting data. So I wonder if there's, like, immediately a problem. If I look for the word setup. Enhancer setup complete. I don't think it's the permission issue above, but it could be. But let's see what happens right after this. No, none of this should matter, because I think if I don't press the button, it doesn't crash, I don't think. So it's really more of the, let's search for the word hi. Nope, wrong button. There we go. Hi. Starting high quality image capture. And I know it's not these causing anything. It's really this block of code. Like, this is what causes the crash. It could just be, well, is it a crash? Is it really? Alternatively, we could run it again. And this time, give it until it actually crashes. Because this might not be a crash. This could just be the fact that it's not doing this asynchronously, I don't think. And so however long it takes for it to do its magic, that's how long the image is going to be frozen for until it finishes and then spits out. Then we should see how the logs spit out. I am a little concerned that we're not getting any logs in Godot, but the right way to do this would be to open another one of these. So I'm going to go here with that. I'm going to open a new window. And we're going to do, well, we'll zoom in a little bit. And we'll do a tail-f quest log. Let's do those permissions. Let's queue up our log. Okay, that's going to do its thing. Start logging, and now we'll tail the log. So now as things come in, we'll see them come in. So the enhancer says it's done. This is all nice and good. Grab our image. There we are. Creating enhanced frames, and now we wait. I'll point that off into a weird direction, because one way we'll know that it's done and it's finished is we should regain control of the XR window. However, I think if it takes too long, app memory usage error or warning. If it takes too long, then eventually I think Quest will just kill the app, or Godot will kill the app. Somebody will kill the app if it takes too long. Yeah, it says 100% allocation of memory. But supposedly it's only 5 images. And now it finally crashed. So then it finally kicked us out. So these did come through, they were just delayed. Starting high quality capture. Yeah, there's our tail, but you know what, I'll leave this window just for tailing and vimming. Our errors are still this error that doesn't seem to matter. It secretly might matter though, but really this is like the moment of truth. This is where we start the high quality capture. And then, wait, so we start the high quality capture, and then literally almost instantly we've got 5 images. So how long did that take? Capture delay is how long? What is capture delay? I believe that's in seconds. So 1/10 of a second? So half of a second later, fast enough anyway, that it's showing it in the same second. Which is at least good for the is keyframe. Because the is keyframe logic then I guess the first time through this is pretty fast. It does do this convert, which is, I don't know, dumb. But it should be like is null or empty, then just return, and then we can do the conversion. But either way, that means this is all really fast. I mean, it's waiting. It's doing a 1/10 of a second wait between these. But then it still has to call the function. So we're doing 5 of those waits. So that should be half a second. And then we're calling this function 5 times. 4 of those times, it's just doing this. And on the 5th one, it would be doing that. Well, no, I'm sorry. The first time through, it's just going to do this. Every other time, the 4 of the times, it's going to go here. And the last one, it's going to hit this one be true. And then we get to the next line of code where we call the enhancing. So I'm actually surprised it did all this in the same second. This must be like the beginning of the second, and this must be close to the end. Because that's probably just a coincidence, but I'd be curious. In any case, is keyframe's doing its job pretty fast. The histogram calculation must be very fast. So I'm very impressed with how very fast that is. Right, and then keyframe detected at frame. Now, detected. I guess the word detected's used a lot, or just once or twice. Huh. Oh, frame buffer size. Five. Got you. Okay, so we hit our limit. So we never get to that point. We never detect a keyframe. We just hit our 5 image limit. And then we say go ahead and enhance. All right, so that's fine. Well, I don't know. If I'm predicating on the idea that I'm just looking for a keyframe, so I don't love this. Let me operate for the moment on the assumption that all I need is a keyframe. If I can get a keyframe, I'm done. This keyframe check is quite fast, by the way. Very fast. So let's do this. Let's stop that. Come back to the current frame. And then I'm going to go ask the AI a question. Okay, let's do a new chat. So what else do I know here? So I have I am grabbing frames from a camera server where are you? Camera texture from game state. Where are you? Camera texture. Camera texture. Right. And am checking to see to find a keyframe. It's, well, how likely is it that the first one we check is a keyframe? How can I improve this logic? To make sure we detect a keyframe. Whatever, just put it like that. And then let's go up. So we'll go with this. And then calculate histogram. and then that. So I'm at least asking it to say, hey, look, what are the chances the first one is a keyframe? In which case, like, fix this code so that we handle that. The likelihood that the first frame checked is a keyframe is very low because you're explicitly returning false. Yeah, well, I know that. I'm asking, like, in video, what's the likelihood? Since you need a reference frame to compare against. However, there are several issues with your current keyframe detection logic that could be improved. Current issue. First frame handling. You always return false for the first frame. But the first frame should probably be considered a keyframe by default. But why? Because if I assume it's a keyframe by default, then I'm just going to move on. Like, single channel histogram. Using only the green channel may miss important changes in other color channels. Histogram comparison method. You're calling compare histograms, but haven't shown the implementation. Oh, fine. A fixed threshold may not work. Is keyframe okay, so I would say the problem is if I assume the first frame is a keyframe, then my GD extension logic will move on because it will think it's found a keyframe when it likely hasn't. Like, fix that scenario. How is that not a bigger problem? Below is the missing method you asked for. Darn. So I did the calculate, compare histogram. So it complained that, well, let's go look at compare histogram because I didn't look at that properly. Does that call anything else? No. Calls pure CV stuff. So compare histogram. I haven't made any of the changes you recommended yet. Let's go with that. I understand the issue now. You need to actually detect a meaningful keyframe, not just assume the first frame is one. You need a reference frame to compare against, but you can't assume an arbitrary frame is a keyframe. Here's a better approach that solves this chicken and egg problem. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I assume it's take the first frame, fine. If we don't have a frame yet, go store that frame somewhere. When we get the second frame, check it against the first, and it's possible the first frame was a keyframe. So then you just look at like whichever one's better. If they're both bad, cool, you move on, and you keep waiting until we find a keyframe. But if one of them is better, well then you know, okay, then either take the first frame or the second frame. It provides two approaches to solve the problem. Buffer-based detection. Collect the first 5 frames and analyzes them. Finds the best key. Okay, so this is interesting. Instead, like, if the odds are very low that the first frame is a keyframe, then it would be logical maybe to like do it in chunks, right? Go grab 5 frames and call with 5 and check to see if a keyframe is in that group. And then if not, then move on and grab another 5. And like, do you really need more than, like, let's say it takes like 50 frames before it finds a keyframe. Is having like 50 frames, like 49 frames to compare to the 1 going to be any better than 10 or 5 to compare to the 1? If not, then why even keep that history? You're better off just saying, go grab a chunk of 5 and throw it at it. Go grab another chunk of 5, throw it at it. And keep doing that until in that group of 5, in one of those chunks of 5, one of them obviously stands out as a higher quality image. Find the best keyframe based on sharpness. Only returns true. Approach 2, real-time quality-based detection. No false positive. Okay, cool. So you got 2 different things going on here. I didn't ask you for that. And I think I heard this. I was hearing somebody talk the other day saying like Claude 4 is worse than Claude 3.5. And it's funny, I'd have to like pay to get Claude 3.5, which I'll probably pay for this soon anyway, because it's useful enough for me. It's like Claude 3.5, you'd ask it to do something and it would just do it. And apparently Claude 4, you ask it to do something and it gives you like 2 approaches. Like, I didn't ask you for 2 approaches. I didn't ask you to go fix other things. I asked you for 1 solution. Right, okay, so you gave me a .h file as well, or no? Fine, your existing compare histogram method fixed. Okay. All right, I'm gonna have to go implement this, but I can't do that now because I have a meeting at 12. So unfortunately, I gotta stop here. Didn't want to, but I do. Let me think here. So I don't know why things are crashing, but I at least, like I was taking a step towards, let me just at least fix this logic, and in the process of fixing the logic, we might fix the crashing. So I'll probably continue to work on this later this afternoon. I probably won't stream it. Almost certainly will not stream, unless I'm really feeling up to it. But yeah, the goal would be, can I get a better detection of keyframe and fix the crashing? I'm guessing just throwing it in, I'm guessing, actually I'm pretty certain now. I just needed to make sure it's a background task, like something that it's doing lazily behind the scenes, which I've already implemented before for Tesseract. So I can just pull over that logic. And if it's in the scene, if it's behind the scenes, then it'll do it lazily and it won't crash. So that might solve the crashing problem. And then in theory, if that quickly enough finds a keyframe, and if keyframe quality is high enough, then that's great. I am now done, and I can move on to just implementing like the end-to-end data pipeline of get a keyframe image, crop it down to just the text, split it between page 1, page 2, do dewarp, deskew, and then pass it to OCR. So that's what I'm going to try to do with the rest of today. Again, if I can get all that done, then I can finally I can actually definitely then move on to more fun stuff. But yeah, anyway, thanks for hanging with me, and we'll talk later.